of the Fender Twin Reverb Tonemaster amplifier, and I gotta say I am very impressed. This amp came across my path recently, and I was not asked to do this video by Fender, and I am not being paid for it, but because I was very impressed, having been a amp modeling skeptic, I thought I would just share some of my thoughts about this amplifier for those out there who are wondering what the deal is with them and so forth. So this looks exactly like a Fender Twin Reverb, an original one, with the exception of this badge down the bottom that says Tonemaster. The big difference is it's a lot lighter. It weighs about the third of the weight of an original Fender Twin Reverb, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a huge plus for any musician out there who is going to be doing lots of gigging or touring. And you know, anyone who's played even just a deluxe reverb, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to the weight. So this is a real plus. But it's got a number of really cool features. It's not a valve amplifier, so you know, it doesn't have that warmth, and it doesn't have that. It's a slight sort of, there's an attack that a valve amplifier has. It's kind of hard to articulate what it is, but you know it when you hear it. However, this is very, very, very close to that. I've not done a shootout between a valve amp and this one next to each other, so I haven't sort of really compared it, but what I'm going on is the sort of collective memory of playing many valve amplifiers over the years, and to be quite honest, I have a lot of trouble telling the difference between this and those ones. So let's just go through a couple of the features. I'll just say that one of the things that I really like about this amplifier is it has an attenuator, which means that you can drive the tubes, even though it doesn't have any. The sort of synthetic modeling of tubes is very, very convincing. The natural amp breakup, I'll give you an example, which is this. That is the natural amp breakup of the tubes, and it's really, really good. And it's, to be quite honest, I couldn't really tell the difference. And the fact that this is 1 watt of power is really impressive. It means you could play it in your apartment, or if you've got noise restrictions, this is a great amplifier. You would never get a Fender Twin Reverb to sound like that at this volume. It just would not happen. So the attenuation is a great thing. The tone that I was achieving in that intro thing there, I was running my volume on 10 at the attenuated 1 watt level, and then I used an Ibanez Tube Screamer as a clean boost. I had my drive set to 0, I had my tone at 12 o'clock, I'm just looking at my settings here, and I had my level at full. And then that's what Stevie Ray used to do, and that pushes your tubes even harder and gives you that really nice creamy sustain. So it's fantastic for that. And in fact, I think for a lot of blues gigs, if I want to get that Texas sound, I think I'll be using this amplifier or its little brother, the Deluxe Reverb, so I can get that sound. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take you through a couple of features, the tonal features, and I'm just going to go direct in. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm just going from my Strat straight into the amplifier, and I'm going to put it up to the full power of 85 watts. I'm going to put my tone, my treble is set to 5.5, my middle is 4.5, and my bass is 4.5. Reverb is 2.5. See how that sounds? I should say also that my volume here is at 4. So I'm just going to play a little bit so you can just hear the sounds. Very nice bluesy sound. The reverb I've heard criticized for having a tail or a decay that is not quite like the original valve versions of this. To be quite honest, I can't really tell the difference. I'll let you decide. I'm going to play a little bit of surf guitar with reverb at 6.5, and this is what it sounds like. Not bad if you ask me. Reverb goes back down to 3. Let's check out the vibrato channel. Same as it is on all the other black and silver face amps. Speed and intensity. Intensity is on 5.5 and speed is on 4. And let's just play some twang. And that goes obviously all the way up. If I'm slightly critical of the vibrato channel, it's that it doesn't move air in the same way that a valve twin reverb vibrato channel does. A couple of times I've done gigs without a PA system where I've cranked my original twin and I've had the vibrato channel on and you can feel it pushing the air. This doesn't do that, but I'm not playing at the level for it to really do that. So it doesn't really bother me. It sounds really good. I'm very happy with it. If we turn the reverb and the tremolo off, you get a really good, clean, funky sound. Perfect for anyone who's going to play in, say, a Stevie Wonder style band. And if you put the reverb up a little bit more, it sounds great for jazz. This is perhaps not the world's greatest jazz guitar, but here we go. And of course, country music. It's a classic. As far as I'm concerned, the twin reverb is the real model for what a perfect clean sound is, with a lot of headroom. And I think that this amplifier here, the Fender crew have done a phenomenal job at recreating that sound. So my hat goes off to them. When you're playing the guitar in the mix at a gig with everybody else, you really can't tell that it's not a valve amplifier. So let's play a little bit of telly style stuff on my Stratocaster to give you an idea for anyone who's into chicken picking. It pops and it spanks. Its response is really, really fantastic. I must admit that it's a bit brighter than a valve amplifier and its attack is a little bit more immediate, which is something that's in keeping with solid state amplifiers. But it is very impressive, and for the reasons I said before, in the context of a gig with a mix, it's pretty hard to tell the difference. One of the features that it has that I think is really impressive too is it's got a line out. So that means that if you're going to be doing any home recording, it's really useful because you can get a really cool sound with your attenuation here. You can drive it. It's really good for front of house stuff. It's good for inner ear stuff. And they've somehow modeled the sound of different microphones. So rather than it just being like a complete direct out that doesn't get any of the sound of the amp itself, and it's really flat, like when you plug a guitar straight into the desk, this actually has quite a lot of character. And although I would never choose to do that myself, it is a much better option in that realm of going direct out. So I think that is a kind of cool thing. There's the weight, of course, that I mentioned before. And that brings me into my sort of summary that I've heard people criticize these amplifiers and just say, oh, well, why would I pay that much money? Because I get, yes, they are expensive. They're not that much cheaper than American-made real valve amplifiers. And a lot of purists say, why would I get one? And I think the thing to remember is the market for this is not amp purists, it's not collectors, it's not people who really want that original Fender sound. It's for gigging, touring, working guitar players. It's for people who don't want to lug a twin reverb or even a deluxe reverb to a gig, to the airport, put it in the bus, up a flight of stairs, or can't afford to or don't have the time to go and get it constantly serviced if something goes wrong, because we all know how fragile valve amplifiers can be. So the thing for myself, as someone who does gig and tour and do sessions and that, in the studio, I think I will always still prefer to play a valve amplifier because I can turn it up. It's not that hard to get my amp to the studio. And to be quite honest, I just love the romance of playing a valve amplifier. But for gigs, like, I am 100% sold on these things. They sound fantastic. They are reliable. They're incredibly light. So if you live in Manhattan or London or Paris and you have to do gigs and you can't drive to the venue, like, you know, people in Los Angeles, this amplifier, and particularly the deluxe reverb, could be taken on the subway. It's really, really light. You know, it's like a third of the weight of the original one. So they're really, really big selling features. I think that that's something to keep in mind. People might trash talk them and say, yes, it's not the same as an original valve amplifier, but it's not made for that. And I think even though it's not that much cheaper, what you're paying for is the convenience. And obviously the research that went into this, so have to get the money back for that. So for anyone who is thinking about getting one of these amplifiers, particularly if you're a gigging musician, I say, look, check them out in a store. I really think highly of them. I've seen a couple of other people review them online and they've been pleasantly surprised. They handle pedals really well. So it's a really good sort of bass amplifier, just like the actual valve versions of these, to handle delays and reverbs and overdrives and so forth. I'm not going to do that now, but I have used this and the deluxe reverb a couple of times at different gigs with pedals and have been really, really impressed. So please share this video around with anyone who you think is going to find this information interesting and useful. Please subscribe. I'm going to be doing a bunch more reviews on gear, just giving you my take on, you know, gear and how I find it works as someone who is gigging and doing sessions and touring week in, week out. Thank you so much for your time and your support, and I'll catch you around. I'm just going to play out a little bit here so we can just get a little bit more of that sound. Let's do something kind of sweet.